The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network.
There it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do I share it.
Not necessarily reflect or represent.
Good morning and happy Friday, and welcome to the Wanda's Warriors broadcast. Today is Friday, December the 13th, 2019, and I'm so glad that you are able to join me on today. For I do have a guest today. But first, I would like for you to like and to share or start a watch party with this broadcast, because it's going to be a broadcast that's going to bless you tremendously. I would like to start off the broadcast by giving a congrats to my baby sister, Danielle Davis, who is graduating today from Bowie State University with her master's degree. So she's going to be holding 2 degrees. So I wasn't able to be with her on today because I have the show. So I do want to say congrats to Danielle. And so today I have a special guest, and her name is Mikiejhyia Lyles, and I'll just read her brief bio. And she is the CEO, Breakthrough Consultant of Destined Above Well Liked LLC. Destined Above Well Liked was designed to assist and inspire people of all ages to leave their past behind so they can move into their destiny. There is nothing more powerful than recognizing who you are and whose you are. Your peace and purpose is on the other side of your fear. You must first acknowledge that your real issues and accept and adjust to who you are now. So Facebook family, social media family, please join me in welcoming Mrs. Mikiejhyia Lyles.
Thank you so much,
I'm
Wanda,
so happy to have you on my show. It's our first time meeting.
Uh-huh.
So it's just I'm glad that people are referring people to my show. Yes. So you came on my email to me by way of referral to someone else that was on the show. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So tell us who you are and what is Destined Above Well Liked.
Well, I am, like she said, Mikiejhyia Lyles. I go by Kia. I'm a child of God. And I am a person that has been where you have been. I am a person that knows what you are going through or what goes through your mind. I am you. And that's one of the things that I try to make sure people understand. No big eyes, no little U's.
Love that.
I am you. I cry like you do. I worry like you do. I stress like you do. But we all have one common goal, and that is to be a better us. So Destined Above Well, like just the title. When I was moving into this ministry, when God started really placing this on me, as a young child. I have always wanted to do that, and my aunt reminds me of that all the time. Oh, this is not new. You've been talking about this forever, and I'm kind of a go-getter once. And with this ministry, God has placed a lot of things on my heart, and they're overwhelming almost. And so they pour in, and I have to, sometimes I kind of sit, but God is making me push them out to you and to people to let them know that we are all alike and we struggle the same, and you are not alone. And whatever you're going through, it starts with self. And so DAW focuses on self. The DAW mission is to inspire us, together, to leave our past behind so that we can walk into our destiny. To everything, there's a season. And your past was a season. And we want you to recognize that it was a season, just that. And that we have to learn in that season, you do with that season. But when that season changes, it's time to move forward, just like the leaves fall, right? And so, but one of the biggest things about Destined Above Well Liked is that the focus is self. And so it does not, yes, we understand that there are people, this life is rough.
Yes.
The things that happen in this life is rough. What's going on in our world and our nation is rough. But we know that people do bad things to us. They say bad things to us. There are some traumatic events that have happened in our lives that cause us to be angry and have resentment and to shut down.
Yes.
Cause us to be depressed. It causes our self-esteem to be low. You know, we can't love anybody. You know, these are all the things that we deal with on a daily basis, and we don't realize that somewhere in that fold, we have to deal with self. So we have to figure out what those triggers are.
Yeah.
And so that's what the focus of Destined Above, the main focus. Talk it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I love
you
it.
know, like we're doing,
Yeah.
right? We are talking it out.
Talking it out.
Right? And so you talk it out. Once you have somebody that you can trust, that you can sit down, that you can hear, or just to listen to you. Because sometimes you don't need anybody to say or to respond or give you advice. It's not necessarily about giving you advice. It's to listen. And it's also to reinforce God's love and God's promise to you. God's promise to you is bigger than Destined Above Well Liked. It's just, we want to give you an option to let you know that you are important.
And I love that you said to sit down with someone that you can trust. A lot of times that can be an issue as to why people don't open up or even walk in their calling, because they don't trust someone to say, oh, I'm scared. Trust someone to show your transparency.
Yeah.
To be vulnerable enough to show your transparency, that is great. And you don't, and a lot of times you can be cautious.
Right.
Because you're like, God has put so much into me, I just want to share it with everyone, but you can't.
Exactly.
You can't share everything with everyone. Because everyone is not going to be as excited about what God has called you to do. So that word trust is powerful, because it's like, God, show me who to trust. You have to ask for that discernment. So how do you deal with someone or coach someone who has trust issues on opening up to what their calling is?
Transparency. One of the things that he is doing in me, or he has done in me, is to be transparent. He has told me that when I say that no big I's, no little U's is important with Destined Above Well Liked, because it is. Because when you think people are on a pedestal, sometimes we look at the ads. There was recently just an ad about an exercise commercial, and the woman was very thin. And they were telling what you could do, and blah, blah. They said it wasn't realistic. And so in order for somebody to trust you, they want to feel that you have at least experienced, or you at least can relate to what they've gone through. And so I've gone through a lot. I've gone through a lot. Emotionally, not so much physically, but I've gone through a lot of emotional turmoil in my life. So when people are coming out and they're talking to me, I have to be transparent. I honestly, that I pray a lot about that, because there is a line, there's a thin line, because people can take what you tell them and they can use it against you. People can take what you tell them and they can say, oh, well, how can she tell me anything? And she's going through the valley over here. But that does not necessarily mean that you also are not meant to speak into someone's life. That does not mean because you're having an issue over here that you can't bless somebody about something that has been in your past. You can also bless somebody about what you're actually going through right now. Because what they think is that they're by themselves. They think that they're the only person that's going to feel this way. And sometimes those emotions of loneliness, and that can take you into a whole different dimension, a whole different level, and then you have to
climb your way on out of that.
So transparency actually is very important. It's very hard, but it's very important, because if you can't share your story with them, what makes you think they want to trust you to tell you what's going on? Because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it can be big. You could actually save someone's life, and I'm looking at you, because you can save someone's life by just using your test, by just sharing your test and your testimony. You never know. When you smile at somebody, somebody can be happy. You know, they can be relieved just from a simple hug, just from me meeting you. So, you know, it's just, you have to, you got to do what God tells you to do.
Yeah.
And I have to stress that, because yes, it's going, you get the anxiety, it's going to be moving all up in you.
The butterflies and everything.
Yes, and it piles up. So, transparency, I'm sorry, but transparency is actually an important part of trust. And a lot of times people don't want to go to people that they know.
That's true.
Because they don't want the fear of being talked about. They may get help. They may talk to them about it. But somebody has to be that person.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be that person that will listen. Somebody has to be that person that will give you advice, the hard stuff.
Way.
And
Not
I think that's
sugarcoating it.
And I think that's what my one of Doll's missions is, to give you the hard stuff, the stuff you want to close your ears on and you don't want to hear, or you don't necessarily want to be bothered with. So that's why the self part is the part, because, well, she did this to me and he did that, and why am I the bad one? Sometimes I'm like, well, God, why are you working on me? I did right. It wasn't me that did wrong. However, through my growth, right? And through my growth and through self-assessment, some of this stuff doesn't even matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And so you have to get to a point, but that transparency is very important.
And I had to learn transparency when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was the first in my family to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And so we were all like, well, where did it come from? You know, how did I get it? And then the cancer, the misery brought about a ministry. And then my dad would always say the cancer didn't happen to you, it happened for you. It happened for you to bless other people. So then when the first book came out, The Fight Within, I was very transparent about my journey in dealing with breast cancer. Transparent about the treatments. Transparent about how I was feeling, because I was also going through a divorce at the same time. Wow. So here I was dealing with 2 traumatic events, and I had no one to go to show me, how do you get through breast cancer? How do you get through a divorce at the same time? So I put pen to paper and became transparent. And that helped a lot of women, because they would tell me, well, we're glad you said this in your book, because this is what we were feeling, but we didn't want to tell someone. And so transparency is so important. And sometimes God will make you that voice. Yeah. He'll send you to be the voice to other people who won't speak up.
Yeah, and you know, the wilderness, I call it the wilderness experience. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people that I speak to, I've actually been through or close to what they're dealing with emotionally. Wow. I can't necessarily say that I've been through the physical, you know, even with yourself, some of the things that you have been through. I've never been through breast cancer, so that's not something I can speak on. But what with Destined Above Well, like what I try to do is, if I can't help that person, I can pair them up with somebody else, or send them to see somebody else that has dealt with it. I will coach you. I will talk with you. I will pray us through. I will. We can go into the scriptures. We can sing. I love worship. Yes, that's worship.
I'm a worshiper.
And I'm a root for you, right? You know, I'm a root for you. It's like a pep, like I said, pep rally time. But one thing about that wilderness is it has to be a self experience. It has to be something that you feel within. It doesn't have to be, But with Destined Above, Well Liked, and I see with you, that's how God works. He takes you through something because you have a mission to help her and him and show them and to show, well, this is how I got through. I just kept my faith, or I just prayed. I got in the church. I got down on my knees. I spoke to a coach, and that is why, because we got to feel it in our hearts in order for us to be transparent. And when you let your light shine with that transparency, sometimes you don't even have to say anything to people.
They'll see it.
They'll see it. If your light is shining, they draw. God draws them in, not you, not us. God draws in, and He shines His light upon us, and there it is. It's like, la.
In that healing process, I always say we heal as we reveal.
Right.
And the more you reveal and be transparent about who you are and what you're dealing with, people can relate to that. That's like a bald head man trying to sell hair growth. You know what I mean? For real. It's like, you're like, why should I buy that from, he ain't got no hair. So when
I'm sorry.
I be trying to make some fun stuff funny. But dealt with things emotionally, so you can recognize when someone comes in contact with you. Your spirit knows what they're going through. So sometimes without them even saying anything, your spirit can pick up, okay, I know how I need to minister to him or her. And that's very important because you're in tune with God and in tune with your spirit. So that's very important. So you minister to all men and women. So do you have a lot of men in your program? Do you pair them with the men, or how do you pair the people together?
Well, we have there are a lot of men that I speak to or coach separately. Now, what we do, Destined Above Well Like has 2 closed groups. And so there is a She Knows, Now What, Facebook group that's closed. And there's now a He Knows, strong when I am weak. Closed group. And the reason that they're closed groups is because if we go live and we're talking about a subject that hits home, as opposed to it being internet wide and everybody can see, and for the women, the men may chime in, because sometimes, we know that men can't automatically understand where women are coming from and vice versa. And so you don't want it to be a battle. God didn't want it, because God is who instructed me to keep it locked down. Even as Destined Above Well Like grows, he said that no, the women need a platform. And so that platform, if you lock it down and everybody in it knows the terms of the group and it's respectful. So they should be able to type in if they're going through freely, whereas opposed they think Aunt Sally is going to call them, what are you talking about? You've been angry, or did you tell the family secret? Or
and Aunt Sally may not even be on social media, but somebody done went back and told her.
Exactly. So Destined Above Well Like, there's 217 women in the closed women's group. We recently had our first women's retreat, and it was awesome. Mind-blowing experience. The Holy Spirit was there when we got there. So it just took off from the moment it started until the end. And then now the men's group has not advanced to that level because there's a different process. The men are going through just as much, but the approach is different. So we now have a conference coming up.
I was going to talk about that.
I'm sorry.
After the commercial.
We will wait for that. But there are, and so now I have reached out. My team is reaching out to some men, some wonderful men that God has opened doors for me to bring in, and prayerfully they are interested to kind of lead the ministry. I will not be totally out of that, but the ministry will be led by men. And the coaching sessions will be led by men and myself. And so there's a team for the men, as opposed to the women. It's sort of a Mikiejhyia type of thing. But, the men need a man, because I'm not a man. And they need a man that is powerful in spirit and has the same vision, or that can trust God's vision to where he's willing to get them into. So you are not by yourself. God is coming for you. This is what I call it. You know, we are not leaving out our men.
No.
It is your season. It is your time. It is time for you to move. You know, women, we are quick to get on a bus and go to the mountains. We're quick to get on a bus and go on a retreat. But it's your time. So when you see it, we expect you to kind of latch on and kind of come in and join us. But coaching is always available. Messenger is always available. The Facebook group is always available. That phone number is always available to you for coaching. No problem.
And you just had your women's conference now. Would that be a yearly conference? Or? You're like, if it was up to you, no. But when God says, will it be a yearly conference?
The answer is when God says so. And so the answer is when God says so. I personally, the flesh, me, we had a great time. It was awesome. The experience was mind-blowing. Mountaintop experience. We always want a mountaintop experience. But no,
you gotta spread that valley.
No, because you just said it. You took it right. Because if we can't operate right here, it's not going to always be a mountaintop experience in your life. You're going to have time in the wilderness. You're going to have time to figure out your bills and what job you got and how the children and putting them in school and going to buy food and whatever it is next for you, because that's your growth process. So we can't always have a mountaintop experience.
Always.
So we have to wait on God. For those that are listening that wanted that retreat this year, just trust God. We're waiting for God to tell us when that next time is. So this year 2020 will not be a retreat. Okay. No retreat. No women's retreat in 2020. I'm sorry. No women's retreat in 2020, but we're looking for 2021. So we'll keep you posted.
All right. Now, one thing I loved on your website, and her website is www.destinedawl.com, and on there you have a synopsis about talking it out. And you deal with physical pain, sleep disorders, relieve stress, and even improve heart health, mental disorders, and addictions. Now that's powerful to deal with all of that.
A closed mouth doesn't get fed. And so as you keep your mouth closed or your emotions to yourself, you don't realize going back, some of the stuff we're dealing with, we don't even realize we're dealing with. We walk around, we're living. You ever heard the term, that's just me? And so that's our excuse when we really don't want to deal with something.
Exactly.
And so that anger or that resentment, if you're keeping yourself in a box and you're not talking to someone, not saying you should go run and tell your business on Facebook or, all these places to people that can't assist you. But if you keep it bottled up, it's stress.
It's proven. Which can cause health issues.
You can read it. This is not what Kia says. Mikiejhyia says, excuse me, but this is true. It causes stress. I was a diabetic. I am still considered a diabetic. But when you keep that stress and you don't talk it out, you don't figure out, why do I feel this way? That's not normal. This feeling is not normal, and you think that you're feeling this way. You're the only one feeling this way. No, you're not crazy. So when you don't talk about it, though, if I never talked to you, I would have never known your struggle. Right? I would have never known what you've been through. And so if I never even just pull it out the box a little bit, and you have to trust God's discernment. That spiritual discernment of who you can talk to. Sometimes you got to get it out and not worry about who's going to go back, because sometimes you have to focus on you.
Your own health.
Because at the end of the day, when we hold things in and we don't want to let anybody know, and I'm not saying go cry to everybody, but when you don't want to let people know what's going on, nobody can tell you, oh girl, that's nothing. Sometimes when you go through something, I did that too. You did what? So talking it out keeps you from the stress. The stress triggers everything else. Okay.
Heart disease, stroke.
That diabetes is built on stress. I've took that medicine, and I'm going to speak on myself because I am not a doctor, but I'm telling you, I was diabetic from 18, genetic, gestational, when I had my first daughter, and I kept it. Now it's in my family. It's strong.
Okay.
Both sides. So it's not that it wasn't genetic. However, but the stress of it, the stress of my, what I wanted out of life and trying to push too early, too soon, messing myself all up. But just the stress of it, I could go take all the pills, all the insulin, but the stress that I had on myself emotionally weighed me down. My numbers would not come down.
Whoa.
I'm telling you, ask a diabetic. If you have an infection, it won't go down. How do you get infections? That also is a trigger from stress.
Wow.
So all of our organs, I tell people, and I've done a live before about the hip bone connected to the thigh bone, like the kids used to say, and the thigh bone connected to the knee bone, because it's true. Our body, that's how he created us. So everything's connected. So if you have it here, guess what? It's doing something
It's doing
else.
something. And I had to learn that through this grief process. Through the stress, and then different medications that my doctor had me on, and then dealing with my back issues and being on steroids since the summer, and then how it puts the stress. Some people, they'll lose weight through stress. Some people will gain weight.
That's me.
And that's me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But it's like you have to be around people you can trust to talk it out, so you don't always have to rely on medication.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the medicine that you're on for one issue, it can trigger something totally different.
One thing I forgot to say about the talk it out is Destined Above Well Like also encourages you to pray. When all else fails, take it to your Father, because he already knows what you need. So I don't want your listeners to think that they have to talk to a physical person, because God knows, and because God is the only one that can change it.
Yes.
So they must rely. Their source is God.
Exactly.
It's necessary. Yes, he provides coaches. Yes, he provides therapists and psychiatrists, but I don't want to leave out that at the end of the day, the person that will help you through this, that really can, regardless of what you want, is God. So you must pray, regardless of when. If you close your eyes, open your eyes, talk it out, cry it out, run, shout, fall on the floor, dance it out, whatever you got to do. That is your method of getting it out, but you should definitely always remember God. God is there to listen to you.
Without judgment.
And he already knew anyway, so you might as well talk to him about it.
Yeah.
So.
Pray. Those 4 words. P-R-A-Y.
Yes.
Pray.
Yes.
And we're going to go to a commercial break on that. And I want you to listen to this song. And it's like the night before, God gives me songs to play for the commercial. And when he gave me this particular song, and I told Mikiejhyia when she came in, I said, okay, at the commercial, they're going to play this song. She's like, that's my favorite song. And I had not spoken with her. This was our first time meeting.
Yes, it was.
So truly that God gave me that song, for the commercial. So listen to the song. We pray that it bless you. And after the commercial, we're going to talk more with Mikiejhyia on about Destined Above Well Like. So take a listen.
This is not the time to get distracted. And this is not the time to go off course. This is not the time to lose your focus. Got a word to do for the Lord, and you cannot afford to lose your way. You come too far from where you started. So please don't let worth it. Your destiny is too important to give up for anything. This is not a time to get distracted. No, no, no. This is not the time to go off course. This is not the time to lose your focus. You got a work to do for the Lord, and you cannot afford to lose your way. You come too far from where you started from. So please don't let the time you sown be wasted on things that you later regret, wishing you never had. Once you realize it wasn't worth it. Your destiny is too important to give up for anything. Yeah, 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 your destiny. Said it's too important to give up for anything, 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 yeah, yeah. Said it ain't worth that skirt, no it ain't worth that tie, no it ain't, no it. Said it ain't worth that girl, said it ain't worth that guy. No, your destiny, your destiny, your destiny is too important to give up for anything, anything, yeah, yeah. Waiting on the other side of temptation, waiting on the other side of this test is everything you've ever dreamed, everything you prayed for, everything he promised you that you'd get. Waiting on the other side of temptation, waiting on the other side of this test is everything you've ever dreamed, everything you prayed for, everything he promised you that you'd get. So hold on and don't let no, hold on. You just that close, hold on, and never give up. Hold on, say hold on, and don't let go. Hold on, 'cause you're just that close. Hold on, and never give up. Hold on, say hold on, say it's only a matter of time, 'cause I can see the finish line. My victory is days away, so I'ma get ready. It's been a long time coming, but I know it's coming for sure. I got a promise from the Lord, yeah. Waiting on the other side of temptation, waiting on the other side of this test is everything you've ever dreamed, everything you prayed for, everything he promised you.
Welcome back from the commercial. I hope you enjoyed that song. It's called Your Destiny, and that's by Kevin LeVar, which is Mikiejhyia's favorite song, and I did not even know that when God gave it to me. I have really enjoyed her presence. Just her spirit is just, I just love it.
I love you.
I love it.
Trust me. I was like, I have to meet her, so I'm so glad that I'm here.
I love it. Now I want to, before we get into something else, a lot of people may not even know what the word destiny means. So how can you push someone into something if you don't know the origin of where it came from? So I looked up the word destiny, and the Merriam-Webster dictionary says something to which a person or thing is destined, a predetermined course of events. And scripturally, I looked at Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay.
Ooh.
Did you have that in your notes?
I did not, but you don't understand what you're speaking right now. Because it lingers. It's not going away, people. You know, that thing was put in you when you were born.
Yeah.
Your destiny, it's down in there, and it comes at its appointed time. So you started me up. although it wasn't last week, wasn't your time, or
It's
yesterday
coming.
wasn't your time, or you thought your time was time ago. No, it's at its appointed time.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, it's indescribable. When that thing takes over you, I know you can talk about it, Ron. When that thing takes over you, you're like, pow, it's like fireworks.
Yeah,
You're like,
where did she come from? What is she doing?
What is this? And I'm so sorry, but that song is just ministers, because it's and your destiny is too important to give up for anything. You have got to keep pushing through. And when that destiny above well liked is, you're not well liked. Guess what? You're still not going to be well liked when you move into your purpose. So you're always going to have. It's meant for you to have people in that wilderness, in that valley, they're going to push you away.
Yeah.
Ooh, cool.
So that's God showing you that when you're in that valley, when you're in that wilderness, and people start pushing you away, they can't go with you to your destiny. They can't go with you. They can't handle the anointing or the call that God has on your life. So God has to move them out the way. And yes, it may hurt. Yes, it may be family. It may be close friends that you grew up with or whatever. But they can't go. Everyone can't go with you on your destiny.
And that doesn't mean that you should be mean to them.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that because see, now when you start being mean, you're not doing what God told you to do, because you're not supposed to return evil with evil.
That's right.
Right? And so I understand right now where you may be is being angry with people that did things to you. But as God molds you and as He shapes you, you're going to understand that those things mean nothing to where you're going. That's why in this song He says your destiny is too important to give up for anything, anything, or anybody. Sometimes you're gonna have, He said, turn up cheek. You're gonna have to keep okay, God, look,
I done turned my cheek 10 times.
He got me on that side, so I'm gonna turn this side too. But the point is, you have got to push forward. Don't let nobody mess it up for you. You feeling that burning desire for something now. Come on.
Yes.
Activate.
Now, if someone comes to you and they know that they have a calling on their life, they know that God has called them to do something in the kingdom, how can you push them to their breakthrough? How do you help that person?
You really want to know the answer?
Yeah.
I fuss at them.
Oh, no.
No. A little bit. No. Well, however, God pushes me to fuss at you. It's a light, sincere fussing at you. I'm like your biggest cheerleader. Do it. Let's go. However, being real, because we have to live and laugh and love, right? Mm-hmm. But on really, I've been where you are, and even at this point, here's a transparency moment. I still push back. So I understand that what you're feeling is uncomfortable.
Yes.
Okay. But when whatever He's given you to do, He's not going to stop. Yeah. Because it's at an appointed time, Wanda said. Yeah. So that time is on its way. So whatever it is that He's given you, whatever it is that He started shaping you long ago, you can't get rid of it. And that's what I tell them. It's going to come.
The end of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 says, though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay.
The point is not to stop. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what you feel your stopping is, regardless of what people tell you, don't stop. One step, we don't count the small steps. Yeah. We just want to take the big leap Up here, we want to be recognized. We want to be on the path, but we don't want to go through the things that God is doing to mold us into that person, because when it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
And so when you get up there, people want to, you can get impeached up there. But what I'm saying is, you so
I know, right?
You have to go through the valley. You have to go through the test, because where you are right now, not being able to, forgive, it's not going to matter. You're going to be like, that would have mattered to me 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So God has to shape us to be that person that somebody wants to listen to.
Because also in the wilderness, he's giving you character. He's shaping you. He's molding you. And you have to realize, and this is something that people that do hiking, they can attest to this. When you start going up that mountain, and the higher you get to that mountain, the air gets less. It's a little harder for you to breathe. So when people are trying to latch on to you, when God is taking you further, in his calling, everyone can't go to that mountaintop with you because they aren't equipped. They can't breathe that air.
Yeah.
That wasn't birthed in them.
And
that purpose and that calling wasn't for them to go with you.
The hardest thing about the hardest thing about, what your purpose is. Yeah. Most of us know what our purpose is, because we can't get away from it. It's
no matter how much you run.
No matter how much you run, it's there. It's coming. If God really wants you to do something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Point blank. But what we are scared of is trusting. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to trust people with your ministry.
Yeah.
You have to trust people to come on your show and do and believe in what you're doing with uplifting people. You have to trust that they're not going to get on here and act a fool.
Yeah, because we had never met.
You never meet them. You don't know. You research them. You look at them. But what people, the book, he is going in today.
People can put one thing on social media and read something else.
The book and the cover and the pages on the book have to match the cover.
Yes.
And so you have to be able to open up a little bit, just a little bit. But the big deal is you have to trust God. You cannot put your trust in man when you're moving into your destiny, because he's going to pour the people. It's going to be people that you don't even realize are going to be in your network, in your team, people that you haven't spoken to in 25 years. I'm telling you, it's true, because I got two beautiful souls as a part of my team, and they just latched on, and I was scared, and I'm like, okay, but no, the souls, they believe in the vision, they believe in God's vision, and so they're helpful. So that's the thing we have to do, even in the wilderness, with trusting, getting to the destiny of dealing with self, which is what Doll deals with. You dealing with all your issues, you're gonna have to trust somebody.
And you have to pray. And you have to pray for discernment, because a lot of people can look good on the outside and they will give you a bunch of fluff. You know, the Bible talks about having a form of godliness but denying thereof. Or to put it in simpler terms, the wrapping may look good on the outside, but the inside is empty. You know, like you get a piece of candy. Have you ever gotten a piece of candy or something, and you open it up and the wrapper is empty, and you're like, it looked good
or
to
the one
you.
that tastes horrible. There was one of those candies, and I know this is just an analogy. There was one of those little hard candies that they used to give me. You know, Grandma used to have a big candy. Oh my gosh! But it was one of, I like the strawberry one. But there was one of those candies you bite into and this stuff comes out the inside. You're like
oozy stuff.
You're like and then you do what? You throw it in the trash.
But the wrapper looked good.
It was beautiful.
The wrapper was beautiful.
It was
but
beautiful.
The inside didn't have.
Yeah, and we have to work on we have to work on accepting that nasty piece of candy that's wrapped good and dealing with it in God's way. Yeah. We also have to work on not being that piece of candy that looks good on the outside, but then when people start getting in there, they, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat this. So that's that part of that transparency and that growth.
Yeah, and that's also you have to work on yourself. A lot of times we don't want to work on ourselves. We want to tell everyone else what's wrong with them, what's wrong with their character, what flaws they have. But the Bible says examine yourselves daily.
Yeah.
It didn't say examine yourselves yearly or monthly. The word daily was used for a reason.
Exactly. But I think that's one of the challenges with Destined Above Well Liked. That is a big challenge. Yeah. Because what I recognize is people will watch, they will listen, or they will see something, but Some will acknowledge it, and some will say, okay, I have that issue, or it's just something going on. But you have a lot of us that we just don't want to take off the wrapper.
Yeah.
Because we feel like something's going to come, and most time it does happen, because there's a trigger. When you go off on him over there because they said something simple, that it wasn't them. It wasn't that situation. It's something else that has happened in your life, or whether it was big or small, you cared about it. And you can't discredit what you care about. So regardless, it's self.
Yeah.
We don't want to look at ourselves and say, oh, you was wrong for that. Why did you do that? I've had to chastise myself so many times. And when I look over who I used to be, I'm like, girl, what in the, what? Just why?
Yeah.
Just like, why? Okay. Moving forward, but that's all I'm saying is with Destined Above Well, like, you're not going to get us on the phone. You can tell us what happened, but it's not necessarily let's talk about what they did to you.
Yeah. What
if they did do something to you, how can you move forward now? How can you move forward without the anger? So it's not a beat the other person up type of ministry. It's a ministry on how to deal with our current feelings, our thoughts, and what God is doing with us.
Yes.
Inside out.
And we have to be able to freely let it go. Sometimes we want to hold like a security blanket. Mm-hmm. We want to hold
just like this. It's warm.
That's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We want to hold on to the insecurities or hide behind an excuse, or even some traumas that we've dealt with, in our childhood.
Yeah.
Or something. Or in a marriage, but you have to be willing to. You have to let.
And we take that. I can't say we. Here's one of the things I told you. I'm going to tell you when Mikiejhyia says it. I'm going to tell you different when God told me something. When Mikiejhyia said, this is definitely Mikiejhyia. Okay, I have not been through a divorce. I have been blessed to be married to my husband since I was 21 years old.
Wow.
However, what I've seen and what people have told me was that sometimes we take what this person did
to the next relationship. Shouldn't do it.
So in there we have to, and that's friendships also. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I can't speak on. Let's switch it, because I told you I don't like to speak on anything that I have not been through. Mm-hmm. So let's take it to a friendship. It's still a ship. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we take what this person did, but we don't want to trust our new friend that's trying to come in. That's a part of that transparency. Yeah. That's a part of that that growth. And remember that trust, because the people that God are bringing into your network now to the level that He's taking you to, guess what? If you bring all that, baby, I'm gonna take the water too. Take everything. Just take it on over. If you take that over to the new relationship, then God can't give you what you need. And so that's a part of the trust. We can't take it over with us. You have got to stop. Pause. One of my mentors taught me that. I'm not going to say her name. She wouldn't like it. But one of my mentors taught me in the beginning of Destined Above Well, like to pause.
Pause. We have
to.
Pause. Now, for men, what can you give to the men? What type of, will they have a conference coming up? And how can you speak to the men that are out there? Because for women, especially a single woman, you have to have that strong man that's going to lead that household, but he can't lead if he's also broken.
For the men, and I am really serious and coming from my heart, you are not forgotten. You are not forgotten. I want you to say that to yourself. I am not forgotten. Yes. Regardless, God said that you are not forgotten. Regardless of what this world says, regardless of what they told you, what we recognize is the same things that we go through, you also go through, but you go through it and you still have to put on the strong, the strength. That's why the slogan is strong when I am weak. You have to put on that I'm the protector. I can't be weak. And that's what they're taught.
Men can't cry.
Men can't cry. And if you show your all, you're a punk. And that is not true. And the same way the women go through the wilderness is the same way you're having your wilderness experience. And it's the same way that you have got to come out. And in order for us women, now I'm talking to you, in order for us to lead, you want a man in your house that's strong. You want a man in your house that's going to lift you up. You want a protector. You want a provider. You want a good daddy in your house to your children. They got to pay your bills. They have to lead you, because that's what God said. So how are we going to do that and we don't take them with us?
That's right.
Okay, and so this conference, this conference is in DC, and I'm telling you, this strong when I am weak. He knows, because it's a light bulb. Boo boo. Yeah. Boo boo. So when God starts pouring into you, then you do what? You know. Because once he oh girl, remember when you knew? Do you remember when he showed you who you were? And now what? Oh, what do I do with it? Right? That's what the women's slogan is, but the men's slogan is, he knows. So men, when you get and you start getting people to pour into your life to let you know that you are awesome and you are a king and that you are moving forward and God loves you too, and regardless of what the world says, regardless of what mommy did or did not do, regardless of whether you had a father in your life, regardless of what struggles and what depression you had, guess what? You are worthy. You are worthy of the same worthy kings. And God is going to pour all this down into you and into your heart. All you got to do is move and give him a little bit of space. Come to this conference.
And give them the date of the conference.
My brain. The date is February the 29th. It's going to be in DC. You can go to Eventbrite. You can also go to the different web pages. Destined Above Well Like is on Facebook. It's on Instagram. And there's a website that will lead you to the Eventbrite so you can purchase tickets. Tickets are $25 per person, per male. You are allowed to bring a woman, because guess what? We are your help. Yes. Okay. We are your helpmates. We are your helpmates. If you want to come by yourself, that is fine. But one man pays, and you allow one woman in attendance with you. It's ages 13 and up, because our youth are going through it too.
Yes, they are.
God wants to stop it before it gets to a level where they think they can't come back.
Yeah.
You know, so it's on all the pages. Come to this conference. $25 for the man, not the woman, but just the man. Inspirational speakers, poets. We got some good things. It's a little different.
I'm loving it.
It's a little different. We're going to have some fun. We are not coming to preach to you. I am sorry, Wanda. But what we have to realize as Christians is that if we beat it, and you don't want to beat it into them where they push away. You want to tell them of the goodness of God. You want to shine. You let your light shine. You want to show how God has blessed you and your family so that they can be drawn in. See, he doesn't want us to beat it into them. He wants us to let you know that you are loved and you are one, and we know who you are. Yes. You are us and we are you.
Amen. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to have to come to this. Might find a man to take me to
the conference. Come on to the conference. Come on. We can figure out something for you.
I have enjoyed the time. The time has just gone by so quick. It's like I could go on and on and on, but time won't allow us. So, Mikiejhyia, just thank you. I thank Cheryl for referring you to me, and prayers for Cheryl. She's dealing with actually funeralizing her husband on today. And Cheryl was on my show November. She was on my show in November. So please keep her and her family in your prayers as they go through this very hard time. And can you tell the listeners on how they can get in contact with you?
Okay, the website is www.destined all. So it's Destined AWL, only one D.com. You can see anything you want to know. You can subscribe to the page to get the upcoming events. Like I said, that conference is coming up fastly approaching. So we will reach out. Also, look for us on Facebook. That's where our live feeds are. You just look for Destined Above Well Like. It will pop up and join us, and then you will see the two closed groups. On Instagram, which is the most popular because that's where I post the replays, that is at DAWL, DAWL 19.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. And for those who watch the show on a regular basis, you know that I end the show every week with a food for thought. Yes. So today's food for thought is by Joel and Victoria Olston. And the scripture is Psalms 37, chapter 37, verse 23 in the New King James Version. And it says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way." And the title of today's food for thought is He Holds Your Destiny. Oftentimes, people aren't fulfilling their destiny will try to discourage you from fulfilling yours. They may not do it intentionally, but they will tell you what you can't do and how things won't work out. They are quick to remind you of all of your impossibilities. Your relatives, co-workers, and friends may try to talk you out of your dream, but that's because God didn't put that promise inside of them. God put it inside of you. You have to remember that other people don't determine your destiny. God does. He holds your destiny in the palm of his hands. If you will keep believing, God will not only bring it to pass, he will do more than you can ask or think. Don't let someone else's unbelief keep you from believing. Don't let other people talk you out of your dreams. It's time to get into agreement with God. He says you are qualified. He says you are anointed, called and appointed to fulfill every dream and every desire that he has placed within you. So that was today's food for thought. If you would like to be a guest on my show, please send me an email to wandaswarriors and the number 1 at gmail.com. To subscribe to the newsletter where you will be updated weekly on who will be a guest on my show and any other events that I have coming up, you can go to wandabriscoe.org. Go to the bottom of the page where it says join my mailing list and put your email there and you will get an email sent out. Also, if you wish to be a sponsor on the show, you can also send an email to wandaswarriors1 at gmail.com, and I would love sponsorship. That's so important.
Yes.
And so I just want to wish everyone a happy weekend. It's kind of bad weather out there, so be careful, be cautious of the other drivers. And remember that my motto is to live out loud. Yes. And I repeat, to live out loud. Thank you, Mikiejhyia, again. And everyone have a wonderful, blessed, and safe weekend. And next week will be a Christmas edition. So tune in. It's going to be a fun show. So tune in next week and have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.